Hello everyone. Now let's continue our lesson. The topic today is scientific approach based English learning strategy or SABELS. Definition. Learning the scientific approach is the learning process is designed so that learners are actively master concept, law or principle through the state observe or to identify or find the problem, formulate problems, propose or formulate hypotheses, collect data with a variety of techniques, analyzing the data, draw conclusion, and communicate concept, law or principle found. Next, scientific approach is intended to provide insight to students in recognizing, understanding the various material using a scientific approach. That information can come from anywhere at any time. Do not rely on the information in direction of teacher. Therefore, it is expected to create learning condition that will encourage the learners in the finding out from various sources through observation and not just be told. Scientific method is particularly relevant to the three learning theories, namely the theory is Brunner, Piaget, and Vygotsky theory. Brunner's theory of learning is called discovery learning theory. There are found many things related to learn theories of Brunner, or in Karen and Sun 1975. First, only individual learn and develop his mind when he uses his mind. The second, by performing the cognitive process in the discovery process. Student will incur the intellectual tree and satisfaction in intrinsic reward. Third, the only way that a person can learn the techniques of doing discovery is that it has a chance to the discovery. The fourth, to make the discovery will strengthen more retention. And four, of the above is consistent with the cognitive process required in learning to use the scientific method. Next, learning the scientific method was the following characteristic. First, center on the student. The second, involves the science process skill in constructing the concept law or principle. The third involves the cognitive process of potential in simulating the development of intellect, especially high-level thinking skill of student. And the last, be able to develop the character of student. Okay, next. The purpose of learning the scientific approach. The purpose of learning the scientific approach based on the advantage the approach. The scientific approach are first to improve the ability of intellect, especially high level thinking skill the student. The second, to establish the ability of the student in solving a problem in a systematic way. The third, the creation of conditions for learning in which students feel that learning is necessary. Fourth, obtaining result of high learning. And five, to train students in the communication of ideas, especially in writing a scientific article. And the last, to develop the character of student. Learning principle with scientific approach. Some of the principles of scientific approach in the learning activities are as follows. 1. Student-centered learning. The second, learning from the student self-concept. The third, avoid the verbal learning. 4. Learning provides an opportunity for students to assimilate and accommodate the concepts, laws, and principles. 5. Leads to increased learning ability of students to think. The sixth, learning increased student motivation and of teacher to teach. The seventh, provides of opportunity for students to practice skill in communication. And the last, the process of validation of the concept, laws, and principle which student constructed in cognitive structure. Next. Common measure of learning with scientific approach. The learning process at all levels of the curriculum in 2013 to be implemented by using a scientific approach or scientific. Step-by-step scientific approach or scientific approach in learning process include collecting information through observation, question, experiment, and the process the data or information. Present data or information, followed by analyzing, reasoning, then conclude and create. For the subject material or the certain situation, it may be scientific approach is not always appropriately applied procedurally. In this condition, of course, the learning process must continue to implement that value and or scientific nature and avoid the value or non-scientific nature. Scientific approach in the study are presented as follows. Next, inquire. Inquire in observing in activity. The teacher open wide opportunity for learners to ask questions about what has been seen. Listen to, read, or seen. Teachers should guide students to be able to ask questions. Question about the observer's object to the concept until abstract regard to fact, concept, procedure, or even something more abstract. Factual question until the question is hypothetical of situation in which learn are trained using in the question from the teacher. The teacher skill need help to ask a question to a level where students are able to ask questions independently of the two activities generate a number of questions. Through the activities develop curiosity asks learners. Okay, of situation in which learner and train using the question from the teacher. The teacher still need help to ask a question to a level where students are able to ask questions independently of the two activities generate number of questions. Through, through the activities develop curiosity asks learners. The more trained in asking, the curiosity can be developed further. Question structure became the basis for the spread for further information and variety of specific source, the specific teacher learners from a single source to source differs. Next, observation. Method of the prioritizing meaningful, observe the learner process or learning meaningful. This method has certain advantages such as the media presents a real object. Learner happy and challenge and easy implementation. The method is very useful for observing the curiosity fulfillment learners. So that the learner process has a high significance. Activities observed in the study as presenting Permendikbud number 81A led to the teacher open wide and various opportunities for students to make observation through the following activities. Look, listen, hear, and read. The teacher facilitates the student to make observation, training them to pay attention or see, read, hear things that are important from an object or object. As expected, competition are trained seriousness, strokeness, and look for information. Collecting information. The gathering information is a follow-up asking. The activity is done by digging and collecting information from various sources through a variety of ways. For that, learners can read more books, pay attention to the phenomenon or object that is more occurred. They even do experiment from these activities a number of the information collected. In Permendikbud number 81A in 2013, information gathering activities conducted through experimentation, reading source of than textbooks, observing the object, even activities interview with research person, and so on. So expected competition is to develop an attitude, consequence, harness, polity, respect the opinion of others. The ability to communicate, implement the ability to gather information through a variety of ways to learn, develop the habit of learning. Okay, until here our topic today, and see you next time. Bye bye.
Bye bye.